Let's move on to main topic number 3. And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Daniel Hogan, who writes, "Hello, John. A year ago saw the release of Detective Pikachu. It's crazy that it's been a year. I think yesterday was the official 1-year anniversary of Detective Pikachu coming up. I remember how so many Pokemon fans were convinced it was going to make $1 billion. Yet here we are, a year later, and not only does nobody talk about the movie, but the film made $433 million, which isn't great for a movie with the budget / marketing costs this movie had. It was still pretty good, though. I mean, I'll take a movie that makes $433 million. It was still pretty good. Note, the movie was not on Deadline's top 25 most valuable blockbusters. What are your thoughts on the missed opportunity Pikachu ended up being?" All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, it's been a year. It's crazy how much it's been a year. And I remember going in, when I first heard about Detective Pikachu was being made, I was pretty cool on it. Like, I'm like, it doesn't really sound all that interesting. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is involved. I'm a big Ryan Reynolds fan, so I don't know, maybe it was something. But then the trailers came out. And the trailers are like, okay, I'm all about this. This looks really charming and really good. And then I saw it, and I'll be honest with you, I was like, it was all right. The movie was okay. It was not as good, in my opinion, as the trailers made it out to be. It certainly had some moments, and it certainly made you smile and grin and chuckle sometimes throughout the movie. I just thought it could have been and maybe should have been better. But it still made $433 million. It was profitable. And it's this massive IP. So where is it? The folks over at Cinema Blend wrote a really interesting article about it. This is an excerpt from there that writes, "Setting aside the fact that it doesn't seem right that Detective Pikachu only came out a year ago, at this point it feels like the movie must have been released the better part of a decade ago, considering how hyped everybody was for the idea of a sequel 12 months ago. You'd think we would have heard something by now. If the project is an active concern, you'd expect to hear more about it, even if what we were hearing was news of behind-the-scenes issue causing delays. Instead, we're hearing nothing. And it isn't just us. Earlier this year, Justice Smith, who starred in the first Detective Pikachu alongside Ryan Reynolds as the title character, admitted that he has also not heard anything about a potential sequel." All right, so that came in there. It is an interesting thing. The whole Pikachu situation was interesting because I do remember going into it and I said, look, guys, this movie's not going to make $1 billion. But I had so many people insisting to me, "John, you have no idea what you're talking about. Pokemon is the #1 valued IP in the world when it comes to entertainment IPs." And I said, yes, that's true. But you know what the #3 most valuable entertainment IP in the world is? Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh. And look at what Winnie the Pooh movie did. It really didn't do much, even though Christopher Robin was great. I really did enjoy them. I thought Ewan McGregor was fantastic in that. So we're sitting on this situation where it comes out. I love the trailer, so I started getting my hype up personally as well. And the movie was decent. It was a decent little film. But I'll tell you what, I was open to the idea of a sequel because I thought the premise was good enough. And certainly Pikachu himself, they made it such an adorable character with Ryan Reynolds. I thought you could do a sequel and you could build on it. Like you could make it better. And so I was involved all up on that. But at the end of the day, you're right. When you consider the expense of the movie plus the expense of the marketing, it really didn't make much. And I thought that made them very cautious. But am I surprised that today, Aaron, we're sitting here still with not only no Pikachu sequel, but no news at all? And apparently no movement at all on a Pikachu sequel. I will say, yes, I'm surprised by it. I thought that they would have tried to build on what they did in the first one. And I'm telling you what, every day that passes, I will believe less and less that one is actually going to happen. Like if you were to ask me today, I still think a Detective Pikachu movie will happen, but I'm less certain of that than I was yesterday. And tomorrow I'll be less certain still. Aaron, when you look at a situation like the Detective Pikachu movie and all that kind of stuff, are you surprised we haven't gotten a sequel yet? And do you still think we'll get one? What do you think?
I think if we do get one, it will be a much lower budget video on demand. You know, you're right. If there were people in your orbit saying this movie's gonna make $1 billion, blah, 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 there were people certainly involved in the movie that were saying this movie's gonna make $1 million, blah, blah, blah. They were very excited about that. And so, yes, I agree. $433 million, that's that's wonderful. And any movie that makes its money back and then some is technically a success. However, if I'm the executive and I'm looking at the decision of whether or not to make a sequel, I go, all right, sequels usually are going to make less money than the original. Usually, right? I mean, I don't see you agreeing or disagreeing with that.
Yeah, it's hard to say one or the other. Yeah.
Sure, but I go, okay, well, we're probably going to have a little bit of a retraction here. So can we afford that? Because if I'm only coming in and I'm really not making a significant profit that's really, going to help the studio in a big way, I don't know if I'm willing to take the risk on something that is going to be costly to make, is going to be costly to market, and may not necessarily give me a return. Again, I might be willing to go, all right, well, what can we do for a lower budget that we can just do a release on demand if there is an idea that is exciting and interesting. But yeah, if there's no word about it, then clearly the momentum has been lost. The people who were really excited about it in the beginning probably were looking forward to a $1 billion paycheck, and they didn't get it. So they're kind of like, on to the next.
Compounding that was the overall reception to the movie. Because if you got the original movie out, and if it does all right, but everybody loved it,
right,
then your prospects of doing the sequel are enhanced. Your prospects of making more money on the next one are enhanced. But again, I think the general feeling of Pikachu was positive. I think the general feeling of Pikachu was positive, but I feel like it wasn't overly enthusiastic. And I think that's probably given a little bit of pause too. Guys, question is, it's been a year since that movie came out. That's crazy to me. What do you think about the prospects of a Detective Pikachu sequel? Do you think it's going to happen? And in general, what did you think? Now, a year later, as you look back, what did you think about the movie? I enjoyed it. I just wasn't as good as I was kind of hoping it would be. How did you feel about it? Jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right.